With the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, Team Xbox made an industry-changing move. The $70 billion deal is the biggest acquisition in gaming ever, and it reshapes the game division at Xbox in a significant way. And that's why today we look at how the new organization of Microsoft's game division will look like once Activision Blizzard officially is part of the company, and we will analyze what the 30+ main teams at Xbox are working on right now and how the game roadmap looks for Xbox after the acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Hello gamers from around the world, this is Boxenberger, the video game enthusiast from Germany, with a video on the updated game roadmap after the acquisition of Activision Blizzard and the new organizational structure over there at Redmond. And I want to start with that, cause the thing here really is, through this acquisition, Team Xbox gained round about 10,000 new staff members. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. Prior to the acquisition of Bethesda, there were around about 2,300 to 2,500 employees at Xbox. With the acquisition of Bethesda, they added another 2,500, and now they get an additional 10,000 team members, and that changes a lot of things, and we are going to discuss everything. But first I want to ask you for one quick favor. If you enjoyed this video, it would be awesome of you to consider to hit the like and subscribe button and maybe even turn on the notification bell to not miss out on future content. Thank you guys, you are awesome. And now let's talk about the new gaming division at Microsoft. With the announcement of Acti Blizzard, Microsoft also announced that head of Xbox is now CEO of Microsoft Gaming. That already tells you that Xbox is now way more than just a department within Microsoft. Xbox is now a core pillar of the company, and it gets now a complete division under the CEO Phil Spencer. Now I want to take a step back. Before the acquisition of Bethesda or ZeniMax happened, the Xbox Game Studios were structured as a horizontal structure under the lead of Matt Booty. When Xbox acquired ZeniMax, they openly talked about how they want to keep the organizational structure of Bethesda, meaning that they want to keep the marketing department in place, the management, even their own publishing arm. Basically, they wanted them to continue to operate as this kind of independent organization within Team Xbox. Of course, technologies are shared, strategies are shared, etc, etc, but you get the idea. Now with the announcement of the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, the phrasing was completely different. Phil Spencer said right out of the gate, "Until this transaction closes, Activision Blizzard and Microsoft Gaming will continue to operate independently. Once the deal is complete, the Activision Blizzard business will report to me as CEO of Microsoft Gaming." So if you compare that to the diplomatic phrasing they used with the Bethesda ZeniMax deal, there's quite a difference, and that has two main reasons. The first is, of course, like I mentioned earlier, that the new organization is growing really strong, and with that they had to implement a different organizational structure for the Microsoft Gaming division. Even if Activision Blizzard was one of the healthiest companies in the world, it would still be a very challenging thing to implement the entire structure into Team Xbox, all the main studios and the dozens of smaller support studios, plus all the overhead that comes with this company, like the HR department, marketing department, the publishing arm, and so on. They all have to now be included into the culture, the business units, etc, etc. And I don't see many people talk about that part of the acquisition, because that is really a challenge in itself. The second reason why the phrasing is so different than with Bethesda and ZeniMax are, of course, all the issues that Activision Blizzard is dealing with right now. There are multiple ongoing lawsuits against multiple parts of Activision Blizzard's organization because of sexual harassment and other awful things that happened to the staff at multiple studios. So obviously there is some sort of frat boy mentality in some studios in that Activision Blizzard organization, and Microsoft not only now has to deal with rooting out that weed, but also to bring true culture change to all these studios while implementing them in their own business units. So there's really no chance that the organization just stays as it is, and I think Activision Blizzard needs this kind of disrupting in order to make a real change happening. And the statement is very clear. The different departments of Activision Blizzard have to directly report to Phil Spencer now, so that he has an actual chance to take vigorous actions. So how does Microsoft set up these divisions now? The first graphic I want to use is an official organizational chart that Microsoft published along with the announcement. Of course, on top you can see head of Xbox Phil Spencer, but I also want to discuss a couple of other people that are particularly interesting for us gamers. For instance, we see Jared West as head of marketing, which is quite an interesting choice because he used to work at Netflix, and given that Xbox Gamepass wants to become the Netflix of gaming, this is a logical choice. We also see Sarah Bond as CVP of Gaming Ecosystem Organization, which is new. Prior to that she was head of Xbox Creator Experience. As head of the Cloud Experience, remains, Kareem Chowdhury stays in place, and a rather new face to the public is Dave McCarthy as head of Xbox Product Services. Now, all of this is quite interesting, but I want to focus a bit more on the actual gaming divisions, and I want to use this chart here made by my good friend Globrille to elaborate a little bit how the upcoming studios are set up. So basically what we have is 3 different main arms. We still have the 15 Xbox game studios, we will also have the Bethesda division, and additionally now the Activision Blizzard arm. What remains to be seen once the deal is officially closed is how they will set up the lead of all the Activision Blizzard overhead departments, meaning of course stuff like publishing, HR, finances and controlling, etc, etc. However, the one thing I want to focus here is the role of Matt Booty as head of Xbox Game Studios, because the interesting thing is when they put out this official chart here of the Microsoft gaming leadership team, he is the only one who is mentioned as kind of a studio head. We don't see anyone from Bethesda, let alone Activision Blizzard. So it remains to be seen if Microsoft will continue with the 3-armed organization or if they will use this big acquisition as kind of a disruptive thing and mix everything up and build up a complete new way of managing all these studios. Because again, one of the biggest challenges that Microsoft has to overcome now is this rapid growth. And besides on the organizational part of things, Micro also has a ton of new game IPs now. And that's why I want to have a look in how the acquisition of Activision Blizzard mixes things up in terms of the game roadmap of Team Xbox. So it's really hard to put a definitive number on how many studios Xbox will own now, because we really don't know about all the support studios that come along with the latest acquisition. Since I don't want to blow the video up, I won't go into detail with all the games that we already know of. We know that from the 15 studios that Microsoft owned prior to the acquisition of Bethesda ZeniMax, we get a ton of games like Halo, Gears, Fable, Perfect Dark, Hellblade 2, About, State of Decay 3, etc, etc. And additionally, Xbox has the Bethesda studios now making games like Starfield, Redfall, Elder Scrolls 6, Indiana Jones, Quake, Doom, Wolfenstein and many more. I mean, let's face it, that alone would be an incredible lineup, but adding to that, Xbox gamers get now the new things from Activision Blizzard. And let's be honest, the sad thing is that almost all of these studios are working on Call of Duty now. We have Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Raven, Sledgehammer, High Moon, Beanox and dozens of support studios all working on Call of Duty. The good thing is that we already know that Microsoft wants to give the teams more creative freedom, and considering the track record of some of these studios, we should be in for some revivals of great IPs. Of course, there is High Moon that had the Transformer games, the studio Toys for Bob had Crash Bandicoot and Spyro as well as Skylanders, and especially Crash Bandicoot and Spyro probably are going to make a return. And Beanox also worked on Crash Bandicoot and one of my favorites, Tony Hawk. Then of course we have on the Blizzard side of things Diablo and Overwatch as well as World of Warcraft. And again, I want to mention some of the big legacy titles like StarCraft, Warcraft, which hopefully make a return, as well as games like Pitfall. But when we look at the aforementioned game roadmap, there are really not that many new games that are coming into Game Pass through the acquisition of Activision Blizzard on a short term. Yes, we have games like the yearly Call of Duty and once in a decade a Diablo game. And even if they would greenlight all these legacy IPs from Activision Blizzard the day that the deal goes officially through, it would take years until these games actually come to Game Pass. So even if they greenlight a new StarCraft in 23, we won't see that game before 27 or 28, and that goes for almost all the games that will get greenlit after the ink has dried on the deal. So a short-term growth of available day one games in Game Pass is probably not the main reason why Microsoft spent $70 billion on the acquisition. For them it's a chance to grow their gaming division in areas where there's actual growth, cause let's face it, if you only rely on the console market, your growth is relatively limited. But Activision Blizzard allows them to branch out in way bigger markets like the PC market than they have been able to do ever before. And with the Candy Crush developer King, they also have a big chance to go into the mobile market. And even if we don't like it, the mobile market is the biggest gaming market out there, and if Microsoft wants to achieve that outspoken target to reach 3 billion gamers around the globe, they have to think on a bigger scale and think about how they can reach into markets that they haven't got a foothold right now. And especially the combination of native mobile games and more mature gaming on mobile through cloud gaming could be the key to the casual gaming market, not just across traditional markets but also in Asian regions. Okay, but with that I want to wrap it up. I wanted to use this video to not only discuss the organization but also make awareness of the challenges that Microsoft is now facing working with a big new organization, the takeover of dozens of studios that are really dealing with bad work conditions, and a ton of IPs, not just in the console market but also in the PC space and the mobile market. Bringing all these new game IPs, studios, business units and people into the Xbox/Microsoft organization is going to be a mammoth task, and it will be very interesting to see how the team with Phil Spencer will handle that. But where there is a challenge, there's also a chance, and I think that on a long-term basis this will not only help the thousands of employees at Activision Blizzard to get better work conditions, but also it will help us gamers to see some other great IPs coming from Activision Blizzard than just Call of Duty. And if we have a look at all these studios, it is going to be very interesting to see how Microsoft is going to handle all these IPs. What release windows will they get? Because let's face it, Game Pass is getting very crowded with games coming from Xbox studios. Not that I'm complaining, but the team in Redmond definitely needs to have a plan as to where they position certain releases, to not have their own games compete against each other. And returning viewers to this channel know that every once in a while I pull out something that I like to call Boxenberger's Xbox timeline to analyze when different IPs might come out, but that's a topic for another video. And if you don't want to miss that, please do not forget to hit the like and subscribe button as well as the notification bell. And if you want to support the channel even further, you can now become a channel member and get early access to my videos and custom made badges and emojis that can now be used not just in the comment section but also in my brand new live podcast called The World of Gaming here on YouTube, which will air every Thursday 8 PM Central Europe, 2 PM Eastern or 7 PM UK time. This is a podcast from and with the community discussing all the things that the world of gaming has to offer, including games, news and technology. And let me thank everyone who supports this channel in any kind of way. You guys are awesome and make this channel to what it is. But now let me know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts on this acquisition? What do you make of the new organization and game roadmap? And besides here on YouTube, you can also hit me up on Twitter, where I share a lot of opinions and gaming discussions. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I see you the next time and game on!